This tutorial is for 2nd grade, Module 8, Lesson 13. In this lesson, we're going to use fractions of a circle to help us tell time. The first direction says to tell what fraction of each clock is shaded in the space below using the words quarter, quarters, half, or halves. If I look at my first clock, it has been divided into 4 equal pieces, and each piece would be considered a quarter. I have one piece shaded, so this is showing me 1 quarter. In the next clock, I have 2 pieces shaded, so that would be considered 2 quarters. But you can also see that the shaded portion takes up half of the clock, so 2 quarters can also be referred to as 1/2. In the next clock, 3 out of the 4 pieces are shaded, so we'll call that 3 quarters. And in the last clock, you can see all 4 pieces have been shaded. We'll call that 4 quarters. Or if I look, I can see that the clock has also been divided into 2 halves, so we'll mark that down as well. 4 quarters would be the same thing as 2 halves. In the next section, we're going to write the time shown on our clocks. Well, first, as a reminder, the longer hand on our clock is the minute hand, and the shorter hand on the clock is the hour hand. So the shorter hand tells us the hour, the minute hand tells us how many minutes past the hour it is. And then you can see on this clock, it is exactly 6 o'clock because the minute hand is still pointing at the 12 and the hour hand is on the 6. So this is 6 o'clock. On my next clock, the minute hand is at the 3, the hour hand is just past the 6. So I know my time is going to be past the 6 o'clock hour. Now let's figure out how many minutes. One way we can look at this is if we think about how we divided our clocks into quarters. Each quarter is 15 minutes. So since my minute hand has moved from the 12 to the 3, and that's 1 quarter of the clock, it is 15 minutes past 6. Or another way we can say that is 1 quarter past 6. On my next clock, I see that the hour hand is past the 3 but not yet to the 4. So I know it's somewhere after 3 o'clock. And again, let's divide it into quarters. So this first quarter would be 15 minutes, and the second quarter would be 15 minutes. So the minute hand is directly at the 2 quarter mark, or halfway around the circle as well. So it's 30 minutes past 3 o'clock. And in my next clock, the hour hand is past the 9 but not yet to the 10. So I know it's after 9 o'clock but not yet 10 o'clock. And again, the minute hand is at the halfway point, and that would be 30 minutes. So this clock shows 9:30. Now we're going to match the time descriptions to the correct clocks. So my first description is 3:45. The word to means that it's going to be before 4 o'clock. We have to look for the clock where the minute hand is 1 quarter before 4 o'clock. If I look at this first clock, I'll divide it into quarters again. The hour hand is before 4 o'clock. The minute hand is 1 quarter before 4 o'clock. So once the minute hand reaches all the way up to the 12, it would be exactly 4 o'clock. But right now it's 1 quarter before 4 o'clock, or 1 quarter to 4. And I'll draw a line connecting that description to this clock. The next description is 8:30. So we know that our time is going to be after 8 because of the word past. And our minute hand is going to be halfway around the circle. If I look at this clock, the hour hand is past the 8 And if I divide my circle in half, the minute hand is halfway around the circle. So this clock is showing us 8:30. The next description is 8:30. So we know again that our time is going to be after straight up 8 o'clock. 30 minutes is the same thing as halfway around the circle, and so it's going to be the same clock that we just looked at. 8:30 is the same thing as 8:30. And then our last clock is 3:45. Well, I know that my time is going to be after 3 o'clock, and it's going to be 45 minutes past the 3. And again, if you think about quarters of a clock, if I divide my clock into quarters, here I would have 15, 15, 15, and 15 minutes. So from here to the 3, that would be 15 minutes. Take it all the way down to the 6, that would be 30 minutes. And then if I continue to the 9, that would be 45 minutes. So we need the clock that's after 3 for the hour hand, and the minute hand is at the 9. And that is our first clock. The hour hand is after the 3, the minute hand is pointing at the 9. So this time is matching to the first clock. And the last section asks us to draw the minute hand on each clock according to the time given. The first clock is 3:45, so 45 will be represented by the minute hand. Again, I will show the clock divided into quarters. So the first quarter would be 15 minutes, the second quarter another 15, the third quarter another 15, and finally the fourth quarter also 15. So from 12 to 3 is 15 minutes. Keep going, I have a total of 30 minutes, and then one more section will give me 45 minutes. So the minute hand would be pointing at the 9. In my next clock, I'm looking for 11:30, so the minute hand needs to show us 30 minutes have passed. The first quarter would be 15 minutes, and then another quarter would be 30 minutes. So that hand will point straight down at the 6. And my final clock is looking for 6:15. 15 minutes is 1/4 of the hour, and that means my minute hand would be pointing at the 3, because this section is 15 minutes. So you can see how understanding fractions of the clock can help us with telling time.